Hi, this is a video I made a few days back when we did a little excursion out to go kayaking because my mom actually, she just looked out the window and she said like there's a ton of birds out there like just in a line on the water. She thought it was like something like a sandbar, but there actually isn't a sandbar right where they were. So I went to have a look and saw that it turned out that they were fluttering shearwaters. So it's the first time we've seen them from here. I've never seen a single shearwater or any, bird of that family from here because it's a slightly, more inland waters location. So normally just don't get like open seabird pelagic kind of species. What you do get is the gannets from time to time. Although I haven't seen them recently. I saw them more like really in the peak of the summer. Now that it's autumn here, I'm not seeing them. But so this is really cool. I mean, we'd seen fluttering shearwaters before. You see them just all the time. If you have a telescope, you see them all the time, just looking from headlands or just any kind of coast that's more like typically kind of elevated and where the land is kind of more like sticking out, or at least more like the coast is kind of straight. If you're in a bay, you typically won't see them so much. But here we saw them, and they were probably like a few thousand of these shearwaters. So that was quite unique, and they just stayed for at least several hours that day at high tide, and we saw them again the next day, and I haven't seen them since. So right now I'm with my parents, and we're just right next to the sea, and we've got a kayak, and so we just because they're really close to shore, go out with a kayak and have a look at them really close up with the kayak, and that's what we decided to do. There's a flock of fluttering shearwaters that landed just offshore, so we're gonna just be having a look at that. Okay, here's the kayak. Okay, so here we are. There's everything. Here, the view, and the shearwaters are nice 30 times zoom, and you can see there's a line here. Yep. That's the shearwaters. Okay, we're going. Look at this. Isn't this great? Here. I can't see at all what this looks like. And look, here we've got a little pied cormorant up our head. Maybe we can actually see it. Look. Here's already, there's one. You see it? And now do you see a ton of them? Like here is the huge horde. And listen to their sound also. And there's some white-fronted terns in the background here. Look at the dive, look at that dive there. Oh, this is pretty amazing. Fluttering shearwater is one of these, Pochelariformes birds, which includes also albatrosses, petrels, storm petrels, diving petrels. So it's a Puffinus gavia or Pakaha Maori. So they're one of these smaller shearwaters. People from Europe will recognize them as being the same genus as, for instance, the Manx shearwater, and from North America, like the Audubon's shearwater or the black vented shearwater. And so anyway, it's a breeding endemic to New Zealand, so it only nests in New Zealand, and it spends its time in the water, typically pretty close to shore around New Zealand, and also it migrates over to the waters around southern Australia, but it doesn't go on land there, it doesn't nest there, so it's just always in the water. But so you can also see them from Australia. And there's quite a lot of them. They're pretty common. They're quite abundant. I read apparently there's over 1 million of them, they think. And so there we had a few thousand, which still means still a fairly sizable proportion of the total population. But obviously there's still a lot more. Well, at least we know what they sound like now. Again, these aren't endangered birds, so even if we do end up bothering them, it won't be a tragedy. This is not like the NZ storm petrel. And there's a motorboat that went like right through them. Sort of semicircle around us now. You see they're not flying away. They're kind of swimming away though. Honestly, they're a lot less skittish than lots of other birds.
Okay, try not paddling, so... Or I don't know if it's mostly the waves or the paddling that's causing the shakiness. I guess it's the waves. It's just like almost like a... Look at that. It's like some sort of breeding ritual thing, I think. It could be. I don't really know. So they're a little bothered by us, but not all that much.
I think I'm gonna post the sounds where when there isn't too much wind and you hear them well. I think I'll post that on Xenocanto, which is the typical site where amateur bird watchers go and post their bird sound recordings. So as it turns out, there are only 2 other recordings of the species, which is a lot lower. You know, lots of European species have over 1,000 recordings now. Not seabirds, of course, but you know, more common birds like say a chaffinch. I bet. I, I, I think like something like a chaffinch would have already several thousand recordings, or at least around 1,000. And this only has 2 recordings, and neither of them, I'm sorry to say, are particularly good quality. So I'm actually going to have the best recording of the species, which I'm pretty proud of.
Whoa.
Okay, so that was it. I hope that was interesting to some extent. Bye.